Morning from an incredibly beautiful Joburg. I haven't spent much time in Joburg in winters, and this winter I happen to be booked a lot up in Gauteng, and I'm just so impressed by the weather. I forgot how incredible the weather was, so loving the sunshine in Joburg. I want to talk today about arrogance and confidence and the clear demarcation between the two, and how somebody's perspective is really where it sits. So the difference between arrogance and confidence for me is kindness, is your ability to be kind in your process of feeling that you are in a high space of self-worth. And when you are kind and you have a high level of self-worth, you are perceived as confident. If you have a level of high self-worth but are unkind, people then can call you arrogant. So the thing for me is that when I get called arrogant, it hurts me somewhat, and then I want to unpack this idea around being called arrogant and understand why somebody feels that they can call me arrogant. And in exactly the same breath, when I feel hurt, I feel and I start thinking about when I call somebody arrogant, and then how does that projection onto that person differ from somebody projecting onto me that word of arrogance. And I think this idea in society today that being called arrogant is the worst thing you could be, and certain people go like, oh, I don't want to do that in case somebody thinks I'm arrogant. And for me, it's just such a fine line between irreverence, arrogance, and confidence, and it always depends on the person's perspective of you. And let me give you an example. I had a bit of a tiff with some friends who've maybe become acquaintances now, and they were telling me in no uncertain terms that since my success has happened around me, I seem to be more arrogant towards them. And I thought about it for a little bit, and I kind of try to get to grips with this idea that why somebody would think that I'm being arrogant when in myself, I really don't think I'm being arrogant at all. And I started to realize that it's very much based on the fact that I'm not the same with them anymore. They don't seem to find me kind because I don't spend that much time with them. And here's the big thing for me, is that as a point of defense, when we feel somebody's too big for their boots and not showing us kindness, when we see somebody that's not falling into the gap of our expectation of who they should be or who they were, our immediate reaction is to call them arrogant. Because in that space of calling somebody arrogant, what you do, and I write about it in my first book, I call it the arrogant inferior victim mindset. In other words, in our own arrogance, we want to bring anybody that we perceive that's above us, more successful than us, doing better than us, and we want to pull them down to make them inferior to us so we can feel more powerful. Easy when somebody calls me arrogant to say that. Much harder for me to try and adjust my perspective on somebody that I've called arrogant. Because when I call somebody arrogant, guess what's happening? They're really successful. They are not falling into the expectation bracket that I have perceived them to be. They don't show me kindness, so I call them arrogant. When somebody is confident, then they're being kind to me. So this idea of arrogance and confidence always really lies in the eye of the beholder or the person projecting that perspective onto somebody. So I feel a lot better nowadays. When somebody calls me arrogant, I understand that it's their perspective. I'm extremely kind to the people I want to be kind to. And I couldn't give a shit if people don't think, I don't need to be kind to everybody. I'm not Gandhi and I'm not Mother Teresa. But most importantly, it's really adjusted my thinking around calling somebody else arrogant, because then what I'm doing is I'm becoming arrogantly inferior. I want to take anybody more successful than me and pull them down so I feel better about myself. So next time you call somebody arrogant or confident, next time you get called arrogant or confident, try and understand that no matter how somebody treats you or no matter what somebody calls you, it's not about what they call you, it's how you react. Ciao from Joburg.